Hundreds and hundreds of supporters. You know, Tom, I was here with Governor DeSantis when he won his first term 4 years ago. He's over in Orlando. I do not remember the press corps. I do not remember the crowd being anywhere near the size it is here. This is something that has really changed the nature of politics in Florida. So when I covered Rick Scott's first campaign in 2010, we were up all night. I was out here in Tampa waiting to see who won. It was a razor-thin margin, similar again in 2014. And then when I was with Governor DeSantis 4 years ago in 2018 over Andrew Gillum, it was only about a 30,000 margin difference. That's not the case tonight. He had a decisive win over Charlie Crist, something we haven't seen in real Florida gubernatorial politics in a long time now. He has showed himself as a dominant force in Florida politics. Many wonder, will he serve out a full term? That was an attack act, something that Charlie Crist tried to hit Ron DeSantis on, because they want to know if he's going to run for president in 2024. That has been obviously a big topic that people have been talking about for quite a while now. DeSantis has never said he would. He said his only goal was essentially to put Charlie Crist into retirement. Well, as far as his governor's race, he's done that. He won decisively over Charlie Crist tonight. And I'm sorry, I'm going to keep looking over my shoulder because they're playing videos right now for Governor DeSantis. Of course, we're expecting him to come out on the stage, and I think he is here now. Here we go to Governor DeSantis.
At the White House, yes, fighting for the right to keep our state free. Well, it's taking on the swamp and it's calling out Dr. Fauci.
Here they are, Ron DeSantis and Casey DeSantis and the children, the first family for the state.
The biggest night in his political career, and understand he's already been elected to Congress. He's been elected, served his first term as governor, but this clearly is the biggest night in Ron DeSantis' political career, and also the biggest night in Casey DeSantis' career as the First Lady of the state of Florida.
You know, over these past 4 years, we've seen major challenges for the people of our state, for the citizens of the United States, and above all, for the cause of freedom. We saw freedom in our very way of life and so many other jurisdictions in this country wither on the vine. Florida held the line. We chose facts over fear. We chose education over indoctrination. We chose law and order over rioting and disorder. Florida was a refuge of sanity when the world went mad. We stood as a citadel of freedom for people across this country and indeed across the world. We faced attacks. We took the hits. We weathered the storms, but we stood our ground. We did not back down. We had the conviction to guide us, and we had the courage to lead. We made promises. We made promises to the people of Florida, and we have delivered on those promises. And so today, after 4 years, the people have delivered their verdict. Freedom is here to stay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, thanks to the overwhelming support of the people of Florida, we not only won election, we have rewritten the political map. Thank you for honoring us with a win. I want to thank the campaign in the I want to thank all of our wonderful volunteers who work so hard to get out the vote. Your support means the world to Casey and I. God bless you and thank you. Now, it's a lot easier to run a good campaign when you got a great record to run on. And I would not have been able to see the level of accomplishments that we saw unless I had outstanding personnel working in the executive office of the governor, as well as heading state agencies. These folks worked hard to implement our agenda. They believed in our agenda, and the results have been historic. Thank you for your support and work. Thank you to Miami-Dade County. Thank you to Palm Beach County. Now, we're still tallying the votes, but it's clearly apparent that this election, we will have garnered a significant number of votes from people who may not have voted for me 4 years ago. And I just want to let you know, I am honored to have earned your trust and your support over these 4 years. And most important of all, thank you to the greatest First Lady in all 50 states, for being a great wife, giving unwavering support, being a tremendous mother to our 3 young children, and serving as an example for women throughout this state, especially going through the battle of cancer. She is remarkable. Now, today, is the culmination of the 2022 fall elections, but in reality, Americans have been voting for many years now. They've been voting with their feet, and the results of that behavior has been just as stark as our landslide victory today. States and cities governed by leftist politicians have seen crime skyrocket. They've seen their taxpayers abused. They've seen medical authoritarianism imposed, and they've seen American principles discarded. The woke agenda has caused millions of Americans to leave these jurisdictions for greener pastures. Now, this great exodus of Americans, for those folks, Florida, for so many of them, has served as the promised land. We have embraced freedom. We have maintained law and order. We have protected the rights of parents. We have respected our taxpayers, and we reject woke ideology. We fight the woke in the legislature. We fight the woke in the schools. We fight the woke in the corporations. We will never, ever surrender to the woke mob. Florida is where woke goes to die. People have come here because our policies work. Leadership matters. We refuse to use polls and put our finger in the wind. Leaders don't follow, they lead. We set out a vision, we executed on that vision, and we produced historic results. And the people of this state have responded in record fashion. Now, while our country flounders due to failed leadership in Washington, Florida is on the right track. I believe the survival of the American experiment requires a revival of true American principles. Florida has proved that it can be done. We offer a ray of hope that better days still lie ahead. I am proud of our achievements in this state. I am honored by your support, and I look forward to the road ahead. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race in this first term, and I have kept the faith. We've accomplished more than anybody thought possible 4 years ago, but we've got so much more to do, and I have only begun to fight. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you for a historic landslide victory.
Ron DeSantis and Casey DeSantis in a very spirited speech there.
In the presence of a jubilant crowd, it is quite a contrast, however, at Charlie Crist's headquarters in St. Petersburg, and that's where Marilyn Parker is. Marilyn?
Difference, you know, in those prior polls, Chris was saying that he was optimistic that they would turn around, but tonight he says he's at peace. Take a listen.
But I want to thank all of you. I really do. And I want to thank Florida. Florida has been great to me my entire life. And I can't thank all of my fellow Floridians for so much for so long. And it's been an absolute blessing to serve as your governor before, to serve as the congressman from my hometown. I feel like the most blessed man ever. And Governor DeSantis, to you and your family, I wish you only the best. And I wish the best to my fellow Floridians, because I love this state. I love her with all my heart. And you're great, good, decent, kind people, and you deserve nothing better than the very best that God has to offer. And I want to thank God. God's real. And God exists. And all glory to God, because we have so much to be thankful for. Please, really, do that. Elizabeth, Kathy, I love you so much. It's great to see you, my wonderful sisters. My beautiful fiance, now we can get married, Chelsea.
You heard him. He sounded very humble and modest, and of course giving a lot of appreciation to his supporters and his team around him. You heard him say he's looking forward to getting married to his fiancée, Chelsea Grimes. She even grabbed the mic afterwards, saying that she was proud of him and said that someone needed to stand up to a bully. So as far as exactly what's next, we know he's looking forward to getting married. We're live in St. Pete tonight. Marilyn Parker, Channel 4, the local station.
Marilyn, thanks.
Let's hear from the experts here on what we're seeing. And Governor DeSantis, in his speech a moment ago, John, he was pretty accurate. It's kind of a landslide tonight for the governor's race in Florida.
Yeah, Tom, it is. And I'll just simply say there are a lot of things he said I won't comment on. You know, he talked about crime and wokeness and all that, and does a nice, talking point tropes. But 8 of the 10 highest crime states in the country are red states, believe it or not. So that crime issue is kind of a, full pop. But anyway, what I will say is this. We just witnessed the launch of the 2024 campaign. Yeah. This was his first speech. And there was some things thematically, crime is one of those things, and other things he said, but I think what we just witnessed is the launch of 2024.
So if he hasn't said that is, but if that's his ambition, that's still a little ways down the road. He said, he's going to be governor. Rick, why don't you weigh in on what we just saw here from Governor DeSantis?
It's hard to overstate how significant this is. This is a stunning win. It's a historic win. And by the way, it didn't happen by accident. Governor DeSantis, when he was first elected, had a very small margin. He came in and intentionally set and has been very intentional about what he's done in pay raises in education. He did it with the Everglades. He did it in his approach to COVID, really defying the odds in terms of opening up Florida, both in education and in business. And he's done it with his anti-woke approach. He's been controversial at times, but he has a base, and he plays to that base, but he's grown that base. This is a remarkable, stunning win. Historic in Florida. It's been a couple decades we've seen a win quite like this, and I think John's point is well taken. It positions him well for whatever is coming ahead, but again, this is one stunning, historic win for Governor DeSantis, and it positions him well for whatever may come ahead.
And to be clear, John, I was not disagreeing with you that may be the case, but officially that is not the case. What is the case is that Governor DeSantis won in a vast majority of the 67 counties here in Florida.
You don't often see statewide races of this caliber decided where one candidate wins 62 of the 67 counties. That's what happened tonight. It's the biggest margin in a governor's race since 2002 when Jeb Bush defeated Bill McBride in that contest 20 years ago. And there are so many factors that went into this, Kent. Republicans getting an advantage in voter registration over the last several years, new residents moving to Florida, registering to be Republicans, a huge war chest advantage. Governor DeSantis had $200 million that he had raised to Charlie Crist, $30 million that he had raised in this case, and his personal popularity ratings always stayed, above 50% or for most of the time he was governor. So a major win and a major opportunity for Democrats are going to have to do some soul searching now, how they've gone from a race that was lost by 34,000 votes just 4 years ago to one now where the Republican candidate won 62 out of 67 counties. We'll have to wait and see whether this is the start of a trend, much like the very close governor's races of the past several elections were a trend previously.
Many TV viewers are relieved that the election is over because the commercials will disappear. However, we hate to break it to them that 2024 has started. Actually, it started when former President Trump referred to Governor DeSantis as Governor Ron DeSanctimonious. Okay, let me just throw a name out here for all of you. Susie Wiles. In August, CNN did a big takeout piece on Susie Wiles and how she could very well be former President Trump's campaign manager if he, in fact, does decide to run for president. We're all awaiting the announcement. Any thoughts on Susie Wiles and her relationship with Ron DeSantis and her relationship with Mr. Trump?
Maybe our viewers who don't know who Susie Wiles is, there are very few out there who would be watching, but she's a Ponte Vedra resident, longtime Ponte Vedra resident.
Rick knows her well.
And yes.
You can tell us a lot about Susie Wiles.
I do. Back in 2011, for a short while, she was my campaign manager until she left me for Rick Scott, which I've often told for Rick Scott. She has a long track record, a very successful track record. It was with Rick Scott. She also did it with Governor DeSantis, and she was very involved in the Trump campaign in 2016. She clearly has had her differences, however, with Governor DeSantis. Yes. She is strategic. She's thoughtful. She's very much at the center of what's going on with Donald Trump. I expect that 1 week from tonight, on November 15th, he will announce that he's running for president, and it will be game on with him. He's doing that, I think, to kind of freeze the field. He's hoping to keep DeSantis out of the race. I'm not so sure if that happens. We're going to have to wait and see. But certainly a local, Susie Wiles worked for 5 years in the Delaney administration, 5 years in the Payton administration. But before that, she was in the Reagan White House. Very accomplished, very strategic, and she's right at the center of it.
We'll have a connection.
Yes,
maybe.
Definitely.
More than one.
We have an update on the U.S. Senate race in Florida next. You're watching our special coverage of Vote 2022.
Go to news4jax.com/insider and become a VIP today. In 2022, join us in Random Jacks of Kindness, a year-long commitment to paying it forward with acts big and small. Practice Random Jacks of Kindness. Sign the pledge on PositivelyJacks.com.
Help make your community a better place. Join the Positively Jacks movement. Sign the pledge today.
Marine 4 on News 4 Jax, Channel 4, the local station.
Want to spread the word about your favorite local hangout? Or warn your neighbors about risky storm damage? Maybe you're looking for tonight's photo-worthy feast or need to track down important supplies. Do it all and more with Snapjacks. I can do it right now. Go to your News4Jax Insider account or join for free on news4jax.com. Click the Snapjacks button, upload your photo, and tell your fellow insiders where you snapped it. Become a News4Jax Insider for free and start sharing photos on Snapjacks today.
Join us in Random Jacks of Kindness, a year-long commitment to paying it forward with acts big and small. Sign the pledge on PositivelyJacks.com. Breaking news knows no bounds. Marine 4 gets you closer to stories that matter most, from severe storms on local shores to emergencies along the St. Johns. Marine 4 is there. Channel 4, the local station. Exact Track 4D, cutting-edge technology to keep you safe.
Hello! How was your day? Amazing! How was yours? Amazing!
Make your day with a double dose of 2.5 Men and Mom.
It's not funny, maybe not funny, ha-ha, but certainly funny.
2 hours of laughs every weeknight.
Good Lord, man, you're a genius.
I'm so happy for us!
Shh, don't tell anybody. I have to tell everybody.
Back-to-back episodes.
Republican incumbent Marco Rubio has won his 3rd term in the United States Senate.
He defeated Democrat Val Demings by a double-digit margin. The results there, 58% to 41%. Joe McClain is live in Orlando at Demings' campaign headquarters. But first, let's check in with Janice Harris, who's at Rubio's headquarters in Miami, where Rubio spoke just a short time ago, Janice.
Yes, he spoke and he thanked his supporters. He thanked his family. He thanked his wife. He says he now has 2 adult children that can vote, and he hopes they voted for him. But it's clear also the state of Florida voted for him tonight as he's going to serve his 3rd term in the U.S. Senate. But he said the reason that he believes that he was able to maintain his seat is because politicians, specifically Democrats, he said, have been letting this country down and ignoring the middle class and the hardworking people of this country. And he says when you ignore the people, their values and their ideals, then they don't vote for you anymore. And he says that's why he won. Take a listen.
The people in this country are going to vote for the people that fight for people like them. They're going to vote for people that are going to fight for people that care about being safe, that don't want drugs coming across our border, that don't want illegal immigration running rampant into our country, that don't want to have to pay $4 for gasoline, that don't want to have to pay 22% more than they used to for their groceries. So when you see the results across this country tonight, that's what it's all about. The people who make this country great have been forgotten and have been left behind.
And he also said he's going to continue to fight to make sure that America is the #1 country in this world. He says if it doesn't happen, then it would be China. And he said he refuses for that to happen for himself, his children, or any generations thereafter. Reporting live here in Miami at the Rubio Watch Party, Janice Harris, Channel 4, the local station.
Denise, thank you. Now let's go to Joe in Orlando, where Congresswoman Demings delivered her concession speech. Joe?
And Congresswoman Demings started by congratulating her opponent, incumbent Senator Marco Rubio. She said ultimately this is both of their home state, and she wishes him well in the next 6 years of his Senate term. She also emphasized that she said democracy still matters. That's something, it's a phrase she repeated several times during her concession remarks. She said she didn't get here alone as well, thanking her staff, her supporters, and volunteers. She also talked about a lot of the points she hit on the campaign, that she wants to continue to fight for voting rights, to make sure every vote counts. She said she also mentioned that democracy is going to be tested, and perhaps, she says, the greatest test we've ever faced, but she says she still believes in America and that it's still worth the fight. She also said we can never tire. She said she wants to continue to motivate and animate support. And she also said that she's focused on 2024 now. She did not say whether or not she would be a candidate. She also didn't mention any specific plans for what comes next as she finishes her third term in Congress. But tonight, she failed to overcome Rubio and the huge red wave that Florida saw tonight. Reporting live, I'm Joe McLean, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Joe. And Joy joins us now with a look at county-by-county results from that Senate race. Joy?
Yes. Take a look. We've got the results here. 58% Marco Rubio, 41% Val Demings. If you take a look, you could see which areas voted for which candidate. But what's interesting as you look at this map is how it mirrors the vote for Governor Ron DeSantis tonight. The only difference is Palm Beach County. But take a look as I toggle between the governor's race and the U.S. Senate race. Here's the race for governor. None of the colors change except for Palm Beach County. If we take a quick look at that specifically, Val Demings won Palm Beach County 50 to 49%, while the governor won it 51% to 48%. Still very close margin there. So in the meantime, let's zoom into our area and see how we voted. A lot of red going on here we're looking at the Senate race for Marco Rubio, but I'm going to tap on the heat map to take a look at how strongly that vote was for Rubio, and here in Alachua County for Demings. Tapping on the heat map, look at Duval County, a very close race of all of the areas here. Marco Rubio, 54% to Val Demings, 45%. Nassau, 77% to 23. Clay, 73 to 26. St. Johns County, 68% to Val Demings, 31%. And Putnam, 75 to 24. You see stronger red here. Baker County, 88 to 11. Union County, 86 to 13. Bradford County, 80 to 19. And Alachua County, you're looking at Val Demings' only win in our area. Here is something else that is very interesting. The last time Rubio ran for his seat in 2016, he was up against Patrick Murphy. Our area voted the same way. So I'm going to flip back to that 2016 year. Take a look at these colors, how strong, light they are. And they don't really change. Putnam County changes a little bit, stronger red this time around, but we voted in this area about the same. So let's take a look as we zoom out to some of the other areas in the state. We have been looking at this I-4 corridor. The last time Rubio ran against Patrick Murphy, really the I-4 corridor was split. He did not win Orlando. He did not win Orange County or Osceola County. You can see this time he has won Osceola County. 51% to Val Demings, 48%. But if we toggle back, you can see there, as well as Southeast Florida, a lot more Democratic votes here the last time around Rubio ran. But tonight, take a look. We are going to see that Miami-Dade, as well as the county just above here, Martin County, St. Lucie County is the one that flipped as well. So let's take a quick look. Miami-Dade, Rubio, 54% to Val Demings, 45%. I'm going to put those numbers from 2016 down so you can see those as I go over these. Broward County, Demings won 59% to Rubio's 40%. And once again, that Palm Beach County, 50% to Rubio's 49%. All right, let's send it back to Tom and Mary.
Joy, thanks. Voters in Jacksonville have decided who their next sheriff will be.
We will have live reports from both TK Waters and Lakeisha Burton's campaign headquarters just ahead.
Exact Track 4D, tracking and dissecting storms down to your street. Exact Track 4D, cutting-edge technology to keep you safe.
Help make your community a better place. Join the Positively Jax movement. Sign the pledge today.
In 2022, join us in Random Jacks of Kindness, a year-long commitment to paying it forward with acts big and small. Practice Random Jacks of Kindness. Sign the pledge on PositivelyJax.com.
Want to spread the word about your favorite local hangout? Or warn your neighbors about risky storm damage? Maybe you're looking for tonight's photo-worthy feast or need to track down important supplies. Do it all and more with Snapjacks. I can do it right now. Go to your News4Jax Insider account or join for free on News4Jax.com. Click the Snapjacks button, upload your photo, and tell your fellow insiders where you snapped it. Become a News4Jax Insider for free and start sharing photos on Snapjacks today.
Hello! How was your day? Amazing! How was yours? Amazing!
Make your day with a double dose of 2.5 Men and Mom.
It's not funny. Maybe not funny, ha-ha, but certainly funny.
2 hours of laughs every weeknight.
Good Lord, man, you're a genius.
I'm so happy for us!
Shh, don't tell anybody. I have to tell everybody.
Back-to-back episodes of 2.5 Men and Mom. Weeknights starting at 5 on CW17.
Go to news4jax.com/insider and become a VIP today.
What's local news to you? It brings us together with stories of hope, revelation, and positive stories too. It's knowing the history of our communities and the struggles we've overcome. Stories that grabbed our hearts, that kept us safe. It's getting answers to what I care about most. Committed to giving you a voice.
Holiday sale.
Right now at 9:30, taking a live look at the campaign headquarters of T.K. Waters, who will become Jacksonville's next sheriff. He will finish out the rest of Mike Williams' term, which will end next summer. There will be another election in the spring for a full 4-year term.
And here's a closer look at the results. You can see T.K. Waters won with 55% of the vote, while his challenger, Democrat Lakeisha Burton, received 45%. And Maxwell is live with Lakeisha Burton. But first, let's go to Ashley Harding, who is live at T.K. Waters' campaign. Ashley.
Yes, hey, Mary. You can see the situation behind me. It is definitely a lot more calm than it was. But about an hour ago, it was really a lot of partying, a lot of excitement, a lot of high fives, handshakes. And we did see the new sheriff, T.K. Waters. He got up here. He, of course, thanked his family, thanked his supporters. He said this was such an amazing journey, and he's so grateful to really get to work. And there was one moment that really was very emotional and touching. He was talking about his son, Tommy, who passed away in 2018. This is what he told the crowd.
I've been hesitant to talk about this part, but, when I first started this thing, when I first got appointed to an assistant chief, my son, Tommy, he said, Dad, I think you'll be a great sheriff. I said, hey, slow down, son. I said, it's a little too quick for that. I'm just now getting started in this administrative path. But I want to say, Tommy, we did it, man.
And you could hear it there. That really was a touching moment. And the crowd responded very positively to that because that was such a personal way to address his supporters and address the people here and also the people of Jacksonville as well. And I also did a one-on-one with him shortly afterward. He talked about how, again, transparency is a #1 issue for him and also getting more officers and making sure that the violent crime rate does come down here in Jacksonville. He said this is just the beginning. He knows there's a lot more work to do. Of course, there is going to be yet another election into the spring for that full 4-year term. He says he's already looking ahead to it one day at a time. And he says, again, the journey is not over. I will send it back to you.
Thank you, Ashley. The Democrat who ran for sheriff, Lakeisha Burton, conceded defeat. She said she called T.K. Waters and congratulated him. News4Jax reporter Ann Maxwell spoke with Burton just a little while ago. Ann?
Tom, Burton said she's disappointed in this outcome, but she's really proud of the campaign she ran. As you mentioned, she called T.K. Waters to congratulate him. She also said she offered him her service and expertise going forward, but she did not hold back in criticizing the way his campaign was run, saying it was based on fear, lies, and misinformation. She said they really took the low road and would stop at nothing to win. But she also acknowledged at the end of the day, this is about Jacksonville. She says there are really serious problems here. Noting on the campaign trail, she really saw a divide in the city, calling it 2 cities in 1. She says the violent crime in Jacksonville also needs to be addressed, and there's more work to be done there.
And what helps keep me strong,
are my supporters. You, my family, my friends. You believed in me and you have been with me every step of the way. Yes. And I am still here. You had great courage in standing up to change a system we know isn't working. We ran a campaign based on truth and how we can make JSO and our community better. You worked long and hard, and you inspired me every step of the way. Thank you so much.
We asked Burton if she's going to be running for sheriff again this spring for the full 4-year term. She says she's not sure yet. She's looking forward to reintroducing herself to her family, saying she's been campaigning for 18 months now. And she wrapped up here on stage tonight saying she's still fired up. Live from the South Bank, Ann Maxwell, Channel 4, the local station.
Chris Hand, give me some of your thoughts here as we watch this unfold tonight. And the last point by Ann Maxwell. Yes, there's another election coming soon. So now that we know TK Waters will be the next sheriff, now what?
Well, as you say, Kent, this special election was required because the former sheriff left office early. So this is really just for a 7-month term until July 1st, 2023. If Sheriff-elect Waters decides to run again, there'll be an election in March or May to decide who holds the next 4 years. But let's not forget, this is a big job in the city of Jacksonville. Sheriffs are very important positions throughout the state. When he takes office later this month, he's going to be managing a more than $500 million budget. The single largest expenditure in the entire city of Jacksonville budget is the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. So a big job in managing that budget and in grappling with this chronic crime problem that Jacksonville has faced over the years. So you heard him say it in his speech tonight, we need to get to work. The challenges are significant. I think you'll probably see him make that pivot very soon, begin kind of managing that large job, and he'd be well advised to reach out to his opponent, look for ways to kind of bring the law enforcement community back together at this point and focus on that very big job of curtailing crime here in the city of Jacksonville.
Yeah, Rick, you mentioned when we were listening to Lakeisha Burton, her speech, you picked up on a couple of phrases that you said might indicate where she'll go in the future.
Yeah, it appears she's trying to leave the door cracked to potentially running in the spring, but I think one thing to look at is the margin. The margin here is much bigger than anybody expected, a 10-point margin. And although you say it's only for 7 months, he is in the driver's seat. This was an expensive race. It was hard fought. I don't believe donors are necessarily looking forward to a rematch in the spring. I think there's a very good chance there is no rematch. But she was very clear that she's as energetic as ever. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here. I think she was indicating that there's the possibility, leaving that door open for a rematch. She also offered her help to TK Waters. I think it would be smart of him to accept that offer, to try to bring unity together, for them to work together in the sheriff's office. But he is now in position. Tonight's result positions him for potentially serving 2 4-year terms, the rest of this 7 months, as well as 2 more terms. TK Waters is well positioned. This was a big win for him tonight, and I'm not so sure there's a rematch in the spring.
John Newman, we've talked about the importance of unity in our city, in Jacksonville. What's the potential here? What do you see for TK Waters if he takes over, as he takes over?
I'm not quite as optimistic as Rick in that the kind of race that was run got really personal. And so it was very big of her and a lot of congeniality in terms of how she expressed support for working with him, and she should be applauded for that. But I do think that in terms of her supporters and those who really were in the fight with her, it might be hard to digest, how personal that race got.
It's interesting she brought her husband up there and indicated that it was very difficult for him to listen to the things that were being said about her. We forget sometimes these people are human and they have families, wives, children, and some of the stuff that is said out there it went all the way back to her teenage years.
Yeah, a lot of it went back to when she was 19 years old, and and people forget that who we consider an icon right now, Nat Glover, he also was arrested. We talked about it the other day for just carrying a couple napkins by accident.
He still turned out pretty good, though, didn't he?
Turned out pretty good, but yet it was used against her. And so, but I do agree with Rick. It sounded like the door is maybe cracked for the spring.
Not really a surprise there, is that? All right. Well, in addition to the sheriff's race, voters decided a special election for City Council District 7.
In that district, which stretches from downtown to the east side north to Nassau County, Democrat Reggie Gaffney Jr. easily defeated Republican Charles Barr by a 2-1 margin. Reggie Gaffney will take over the seat held by his father. The seat will be on the city ballot again next spring. Supervisors of elections have been working all night to make sure every ballot is counted and is secure, as they do in every single election.
And News 4 Jax reporter Jim Piggott is at the Duval County Supervisor of Elections Vote Center on the north side. Jim.
You know, they are finishing up right now. These are the equipment, everything that's been coming back in from the various precincts all around town. In fact, they just got the last numbers in right now, so they are really going to be preparing to wrap up for this evening. They're glad about that, and as I had mentioned before, they had really hoped that there would be a bigger turnout in Duval County. We got about 50%. They were hoping for 60%. And they were saying for a midterm election, they were kind of disappointed in what was happening with this. I was talking to Mike Hogan about what he expects out of all of this. They still have some vote-by-mail ballots that still have to be checked, and some of the provisional ballots that were put out there. Those are things that they're going to be doing in the coming days. And by the way, if you had got a notice in the mail that say your signature didn't match and you voted by mail, you still have up to Thursday to correct that. But locally, all of the races here were basically decided that there is no close race here in Florida that's going to call for a recount. But what's happening here, this is just there just in case. Now, coming up, all new at 10, we're going to hear more from Mike Hogan. You know, he's winding down his career as supervisor of election. He's got one more to go through. That's that city election coming up in fall. And so he's going to talk about how this whole process has changed. But for now, we're live on the north side at the election center. Jim Piggott, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Jim.
Voters in 3 suburban counties had to decide tax questions in this year's election.
In St. Johns County, voters struck down a proposed 1% sales tax to help fund the county's explosive growth. The money would have gone toward roads and bridges, as well as parks, libraries, and more safety measures. And you can see 63% voted against to 37%.
Clay County voters were asked to say yes or no whether to continue for 4 more years a property tax they already passed back in 2018. The money will go toward improving safety and security in schools. 53% of voters said yes to the tax. 47% said no. It carries.
And Nassau County voters were asked to approve a property tax increase for a wide range of school improvements, including money for high-quality teachers and student safety and security. 53% of Nassau County voters said yes. 47% voted no. 3 dozen seats in the U.S. Senate are on the line in this midterm election, and Stacey Spanos will update the key races for us coming up next.
Our special Vote 2022 election night coverage continues.
Help make your community a better place. Join the Positively Jax movement. Sign the pledge today.
When it comes to keeping you informed, the sky is the limit.
A live look from our tower cam.
News 4 Jax, empowering you with a county-by-county network of 15 aerial cameras, showing you this.
Traffic in both directions.
So you can avoid seeing this. Built for the elements. So you can see threats from miles away. A window to the world on all your screens. The News 4 Jax Skycam Network. Exact Track 4D, tracking and dissecting storms down to your street.
What's local news to you? It brings us together with stories of hope, revelation, and positive stories too. It's knowing the history of our communities and the struggles we've overcome. Stories that grabbed our hearts, that kept us safe. It's getting answers to what I care about most. Committed to giving you a voice. Only News 4 Jax makes choices that put us first. They are who they've always been. News 4 Jax on Channel 4, the local station.
Breaking news knows no bounds. Marine 4 gets you closer to stories that matter most, from severe storms on local shores to emergencies along the St. Johns. Marine 4 is there. Channel 4, the local station.
We've never had a story like this.
They're on the fast track to the truth.
You're terrified about these results.
I've always felt in my heart that she wasn't his.
No more questions.
That dates just didn't add up.
There's no way this baby could be anybody's but yours.
No more denials.
You're sure that Willie's the father?
He the daddy, she know that.
No more excuses.
You are the father. You are not the father.
Watch Maury.
Weekdays at 4 on CW17.
Station. National news organizations have been closely following Georgia's Senate race since it is one of those that may decide whether the Democrats or the Republicans hold majority power.
And it has been close. Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock is up against Republican Herschel Walker. The race has not yet been decided, but look how close it is. 50% to 49% with just 30,000 vote difference, I believe it is right now.
For Georgia Governor, Democrat Stacey Abrams challenging Republican incumbent Brian Kemp. Kemp has led all evening long. Right now, he's up 54% to 46%. Abrams is trailing. Still a lot of votes to be counted, however. The balance of power could shift on Capitol Hill as Republicans try to win back a majority in both houses of Congress, now controlled by Democrats.
And Stacey Spanos joins us now with a closer look at the key Senate races that we've been watching in addition to Florida and Georgia. Stacey.
Well, Tom and Mary, Senate races are starting to be called tonight. Right now, the Democrats hold 39 seats and the Republicans hold 40 seats. Those numbers include seats that were not up for election this year and also includes some results that are starting to trickle in. The two circles that you see in yellow right there, those are independent senators, and they typically vote with the Democrats. Now, we'll keep filling in circles, red or blue, as races are called. We are waiting to see if any seats will flip from one party to the other, and so far, that has not happened tonight. Not yet, anyway. Let's take a look now at some of the hotly contested races we are watching, the ones that could flip and potentially shift the control of the Senate from Democrat to Republican. We are getting some first results in from Colorado, one of those toss-up states. And so far, Democratic incumbent Michael Bennet holds a strong lead over the Republican challenger, Joe O'Dea. You can see Michael Bennet has 58% of the vote to O'Dea's 39% of the vote. One of the most watched Senate races, everyone knows, is in Pennsylvania. Democrat John Fetterman has a strong lead right now over Republican Mehmet Oz. This race has not been called yet, but it looks like there's about 29% reporting so far in this race. Let's take you to Ohio. It is a battle for an open seat. Currently, Democratic Congressman Tim Ryan is leading J.D. Vance is beating Tim Ryan 53% to 47%, with about 49% of the precincts voting right there. In North Carolina, where Republican Senator Richard Burr is retiring, it's currently tied between Democrat Sherry Beasley and Republican Ted Budd. It's 51% to Sherry Beasley's 47%. Vermont's open seat has been decided, with Democrat Peter Welch winning over Republican Gerald Malloy. Welch got 67% of the vote right there. Now, those are some of the key races we are going to be watching. As we said, this is going to be a tightly watched Senate race throughout the night, but it could be many hours from now until we find out who wins, or potentially even a couple of days, depending on how Pennsylvania goes. Back to you.
All right. Thank you, Stacey.
All right. Thank you, Stacey. Now we'll head back in over here with our roundtable discussion, correct?
As far as I know, yes. I think that's next. Rick, we've been talking about this balance of power. Yes. So far, Republicans have picked up 7 seats in the House, but the Senate is really what we're watching closely.
It is, it's interesting, Kent. Tonight is pretty much going according to script of the polling in many ways. In Florida, it was predicted DeSantis would win, that Rubio would win, that you would have this potential red wave. In the House, they would pick up seats, which they are. And the Senate was viewed as a toss-up, and that's what we're seeing. The polling in Georgia has turned out to be very accurate. It is a dead heat and potentially even a runoff. If you take a look to Ohio. Early, it looked as though Tim Ryan may have the advantage there, but now J.D. Vance is getting a little bit of a lead, and that's what the polling suggested. In New Hampshire, they talked about a dead heat, but that's really advantage to the Democrat. And so really tonight for the pollsters, so far at least, they should feel reasonable about where they've been. But for us, that means these Senate races really are close. It's close in Georgia. It's going to be close in these other states when we get out west in Nevada and Arizona. So it is going a little bit as expected. And as you said at the very beginning, in the end, it comes down to the Senate and the balance of power in the Senate, and that remains to be seen.
Yeah, Chris Handway, clearly we haven't seen anything West Coast in those key states like Nevada and Arizona. But what we're seeing so far, where do you see this going in the Senate?
What's interesting is the early result in Pennsylvania, and still a lot of votes to be cast there. Pennsylvania doesn't start actually counting their mail and early ballots until Election Day itself, and so we're going to be seeing Pennsylvania kind of happen over the next several days. But if John Fetterman's lead there does hold, that raises the stakes for Republicans in some of these other states, like Georgia, like Nevada, like Arizona. They'll have to win at least 2 out of those 3 states in order to take control of the U.S. Senate, because Pennsylvania would be a pickup for the Democrats. So that's one of the ones I'm watching at this point. If Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman holds his lead, becomes the next U.S. Senator from Pennsylvania, Republicans have to win, 2/3 of those remaining open seats they're targeting.
Well, John Newman, one of those could be Georgia. This race between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker is so tight right now.
Extremely tight, and I've been trying to track which counties are coming in and how much is left. In all the red counties that we talked about happening all throughout the more rural areas of the state, they have a lot less voters in terms of what can come in. And then you got Fulton and Gwinnett and all the other counties around Atlanta, a lot more votes to get there. So it may be an all-nighter. But here's the other thing, of course, too. They don't get 50%. 4 weeks later, because it's not like last time, 4 weeks later is when the runoff's going to be. But I'm also looking for, believe it or not, Wisconsin, with Ron Johnson and Mandela Barnes. Barnes right now is ahead, even though not a whole lot of vote in. But you never know. He may pull it out.
Yeah, still lots to watch on that Senate side right now. Thank you.
Still to come, we're diving into the issues people told us they cared about the most this election year and how that influenced who they voted for.
Plus, another look at the big races we're watching. Stay with us.
News for Jax celebrates everyone who makes a positively Jax difference, like those at this school, where students get hands-on education to help them reach their full potential.
I think our secret sauce is that we really see the abilities in our students. We don't look at what they can't do, but we're constantly looking at what they can do and offering them opportunities. 8 acres of heaven right here.
Join the Pause Jax movement. Sign up and sign in to News for Jax Insider today.
Go to news4jax.com/insider and become a VIP today.
Want to spread the word about your favorite local hangout? Or warn your neighbors about risky storm damage? Maybe you're looking for tonight's photo-worthy feast or need to track down important supplies. Do it all and more with Snapjacks. I can do it right now. Go to your News4Jax Insider account or join for free on news4jax.com. Click the Snapjacks button, upload your photo, and tell your fellow insiders where you snapped it. Become a News4Jax Insider for free and start sharing photos on Snapjacks today.
We've never had a story like this.
They're on the fast track to the truth.
You're terrified about these results.
I've always felt in my heart that she wasn't his.
No more questions.
The dates just didn't add up.
There's no way this baby could be anybody's but yours.
No more denials.
You're sure that Willie's the father?
He the daddy, he know that.
No more excuses.
You are the father. You are not the father.
Watch Maury.
Weekdays at 4 on CW17.
Exact Track 4D, tracking and dissecting storms down to your street. Exact Track 4D, cutting-edge technology to keep you safe. When it comes to keeping you informed, the sky is the limit.
A live look from our tower camp.
News 4 Jax, empowering you with a county-by-county network of 15 aerial cameras, showing you this.
And now let's find out more about the issues voters told us they cared most about going into the election.
Tarek and Travis have been sifting through the data, and they're joining us now from our AP Votecast Center with the trends that they're seeing in Georgia. Tarek, Travis?
Yeah, earlier in the last hour, we looked at the issues that were most important in Florida. Now we're looking at the latest polling data out of the state of Georgia.
When we looked at Florida, we learned that by far the biggest issue was economy and jobs. Not really surprising, that's actually the biggest issue in Georgia as well. But there are some differences when we look at the two states. Climate change and immigration were among the top issues in Florida. But when we look to Georgia, that's not really the case. They're more focused on healthcare and crime.
Yeah, that's at the top of their minds. And we're going to take a closer look at that data here at the wall here, which is really interesting. Like Travis said, out of the 3,000 Georgia voters polled, 46% said that economy and jobs was their top issue. 11% of Georgia voters said abortion was the top issue for them. And 9% of voters says crime was their biggest worry. And another 9% identified health care as their biggest concern. So how did this influence the voters when they went forward to the polls? We're taking a look at the Senate race between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker. And as you see here, the economy and jobs was a big deal to those voters who voted for Herschel Walker here. 61%, 34% voted of those Georgians voted for Raphael Warnock. Now, when it comes to abortion, Warnock has a sizable lead over Walker on this issue, with 82% of the voters identifying abortion as their biggest concern there, and the one issue that's driving them at the polls, compared to Walker, which is 15%. Now, when we're talking about health care, pretty much the same. Those who said health care was their biggest issue, 65% of those voters voted for Warnock, and only 25% voted for Herschel Walker. And finally, when we talk about something everyone's concerned about, crime, it's pretty much split down the middle. 46% of the voters said crime was the biggest issue, voted for Raphael Warnock, and another 47% for Walker. Now, coming up at 10 o'clock, we're taking a closer look at really the independent voters, those no party affiliation voters, the wild card really, and looking at how they leaned in this election. We're going to tell you what those impacts, how they voted as well. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Tarek. More reaction and more coverage. Thank you for watching our special election night coverage. Stay tuned. The 10 o'clock news is starting right now.
Live from the local station, the 10 o'clock news starts now.
Right now at 10 o'clock, the newest advisory is just out moments ago on Tropical Storm Nicole, which is intensifying as it draws closer to Florida. We have a live look at Morningstar Marina from our Mayport Skycam. We'll be showing you that any moment now. You can see the wind has been picking up all evening long, and we have some new video into our newsroom tonight of the wind and the waves out at Jacksonville Beach. We're also covering the results of today's midterm elections, and we will get back to that in just a few moments. You'll also see the results scrolling along the bottom of your TV screen. We want to give our viewers, though, an update on the tropical storm.
Yeah, there have now been a number of school closings due to the storm. Schools in St. Johns, Putnam, Flagler, and Alachua counties will all be closed on Thursday. Duval County says no decision has yet been made at this time, but Friday is already a scheduled holiday for Veterans Day.
We have crews covering preparations all across our local counties. First, we go to Weather Authority Chief Meteorologist John Gahn for the latest advisory, which just came out. John?
Thought they might pull the trigger and make this a hurricane, but it's oh so close. They're waiting for thunderstorms to develop near the center of circulation, which is very clear on the satellite picture. The latest, again, 10 o'clock, 70-mile-an-hour winds. Remember, hurricane strength is at 74 or greater, so we're right there in the ballpark. There's the system itself, broad area of winds coming from the east, pushing all the way back along the East Coast. That wind you're feeling right now is the nor'easter that will impact us for at least the next 30 hours. And then we transition over, and I'll show you a little more of that in a moment. We transition over to Nicole. This is the latest track from the Hurricane Center. Notice the cone shrinking down now. The forecast model is very tightly clustered to bring this thing on shore, probably just north of Jupiter, and then taking it out towards the west near Cedar Key, and then not too far away from, let's say, Live Oak, well out to the west of Jacksonville, but not too far away from I-75. And it'll be all the way out there towards Waycross. There'll ultimately be, again, heavy rains, heavy winds, power outages possible in Georgia. So again, it's not just a coastal thing, even though the nor'easter is doing that for us right now. There are the thunderstorms beginning to fire up right near the center of circulation, which is oh so close to being an eye. Hurricane hunters will probably be wrapping up their trip out there in the next few hours. We'll talk more about the track of this. As you can see, the track straight to the west, then building as it crosses over the Gulf Stream. And we here in Jacksonville, probably starting around 3, 4 in the morning on Thursday, Mary, we'll start to see the heavy rains develop. Prior to that, winds all day tomorrow going to make it very tough to drive over the bridges. I don't think they'll exceed 40 miles an hour sustained, but we could get gusts along the coast and some tree limb damage and maybe a few power outages tomorrow as winds reach nearly 50 just tomorrow. Then it gets very curious, and we'll have more on the impact Thursday will bring us when we start to see Nicole really impact our local area. Mary?
Oh, thank you, John. And later in the newscast at 10:30, we'll check in with our crews here in Duval and in St. Johns counties with an update from local emergency officials. The Weather Authority is always tracking the tropics for you. You'll want to download both our Weather Authority app and Hurricane app to stay updated when a system develops and to see whether it's heading our way. Search WJXT for the free app in your Apple or your Android app store.
Turning now to vote 2022, with ballots still being counted in 2 widely watched races in Georgia.
In the race for governor, incumbent Brian Kemp has a sizable lead there over Democratic challenger Stacey Abrams, but there's still a lot of votes to be counted still.
And in the Georgia Senate race, too close to call, a dead heat right now, 49% to 49%. This has gone back and forth. It's expected to be morning before we know which one of these 2 men, Walker or Warnock, has won the United States Senate seat from Georgia. Here in Florida, the key race has been decided. Both of them, Governor Ron DeSantis has defeated Democratic challenger Charlie Crist.
And DeSantis earned 59% of the vote. Crist earned 40%. Marilyn Parker is at Crist's campaign headquarters in St. Petersburg. But first, let's go to Scott Johnson, who's live in Tampa, where DeSantis and his supporters are celebrating tonight. Scott.
There's going to be celebrations all over Tampa. They just cleared out of the Tampa Convention Center here. Hundreds and hundreds of people here to come in for a very big win for Republicans in Florida. We've seen so many governor's races, including Governor DeSantis' first win 4 years ago, by just a hair of a margin. Florida has always been really a 50-50 state. That has changed. DeSantis having a sizable victory over Charlie Crist tonight, coming out to thank his supporters and saying he's going to keep up the fight.
We faced attacks. We took the hits. We weathered the storms, but we stood our ground. We did not back down. We had the conviction to guide us, and we had the courage to lead. We made promises. We made promises to the people of Florida, and we have delivered on those promises.
Now Ron DeSantis goes into a second term as governor, but so many national political speculators wonder, will he enter the race for presidency in 2 years? There will be increased speculation on that. He has said his only goal in this race was to put one Democrat essentially into retirement. That was Charlie Crist, never saying he will run for president. So it will be something we will be watching. But supporters very excited with a very decisive victory for Governor Ron DeSantis getting a second term tonight. We're live in Tampa. Scott Johnson, Channel 4, the local station.
Scott, thanks. And Marilyn Parker has been at Crist's headquarters in St. Petersburg all night.
Marilyn, I've been covering Charlie Crist since she was a state senator from St. Petersburg. He was cheerful then, and he was even cheerful tonight as he conceded defeat.
Absolutely. You know, going into this race, he said that he knew he was the underdog. And now here we are with the final results. You could hear people in the back of Scott's background there. Well, it grew very quiet here right after we got those results. And, you know, Charlie Crist gave a very quick and modest speech. He congratulated Governor Ron DeSantis and thanked his supporters. But again, he said he knew he'd be the underdog. And that somewhat came after that statements came down, and after he gave his speech, he said he knew he was the underdog, as well as he would be outspent in this race. There wouldn't be as many TV ads that gone out, but however, he is an optimist. Take a listen to what he had to say during his speech.
I want to thank all of you. I really do. And I want to thank Florida
Florida has been great to me my entire life, and I can't thank all of my fellow Floridians for so much for so long. And it's been an absolute blessing to serve as your governor before, to serve as the congressman from my hometown. I feel like the most blessed man ever. And Governor DeSantis, to you and your family, I wish you only the best.
As you heard there, he's been in government before, he's been a congressman, and now he's focused on being a husband, looking forward to marrying his fiancée, and he also wishes Florida the best. We're live in St. Petersburg tonight. Marilyn Parker, Channel 4, the local station.
Marilyn, thank you. Joy is going to take a look at which way the local counties went in that race for governor. Joy?
Yes, here's her perspective, taking a look at the entire state first very quickly. Ron DeSantis is 59% to Charlie Crist's 40%. As we were watching these numbers come in, it was very interesting to see which areas, which counties flipped from blue to red compared to the last time Governor DeSantis ran for office just 4 years ago. So we are going to zoom into our area and take a look. And Duval County is one of those areas. Tonight, red. 4 years ago, it voted blue when Andrew Gillum was up against Ron DeSantis. We're going to tap on this heat map so we can see just how strongly this red was for DeSantis and Alachua was for Charlie Crist. Here we go, taking a look. Duval County, very close compared to the rest of our area, 56% to 43%. Looking at Clay, a little bit stronger, 75 to 25. Putnam, 76 to 23%. St. Johns County, 70 to 30%. Here we are in Nassau, 77-23. A little stronger red here in Baker County. You see these numbers: Union County 88 to 12, Bradford 81 to 18, Columbia 79 to 20, and Alachua County was won by Crist, 57% to Ron DeSantis's 42%. Let's take a look at some of the other areas in our state. We were looking at this I-4 corridor, which usually is split. It has been in the past. Orange County, the Orlando area, Hillsborough County, both very strong democratically voting areas. But take a look at this as we look closer at how these areas voted. Orlando, pretty much the Orange County area stayed the same, Democratic. Charlie Crist won. DeSantis is 46%. But looking at Hillsborough County, DeSantis won 54% to Charlie Crist's 45%. That flipped. Taking a look at the numbers from 4 years ago, it was won by Gillum 54 to 45%. Another area that flipped is down in southeast Florida. Take a look. Mostly 4 years ago, Democratic voting. Gillum won all of these counties. West Palm Beach County, Broward, Miami-Dade County. This time around, we're going to take a look, and you can see, you heard the governor in his acceptance speech. Palm Beach County, he thanked them for switching their vote. Miami-Dade County, democratically voting for 20 years, now voting for DeSantis, voting Republican. That's a look county by county. Let's send it back to the big round table.
Well, enjoy, and I appreciate what Tom said about we're looking at those county numbers, and this is something we talked about earlier. Governor DeSantis won an overwhelming amount of counties in Florida tonight.
It really is stunning. I want to step back for a second. For 2 decades, Florida has enjoyed the status of the prize in presidential elections. We've enjoyed the status of the swing state. Starting a little while back, that began to change some. Trending red, you saw it in 2020. Tonight, with what's happened in Florida, red wave, it's a very fair question to ask. What is the impact on presidential politics for 2024? Is Florida the big prize, or simply are you going to put it in the R column, maybe getting ahead of ourselves for 2024? Will Florida get the attention it's gotten in the past? Already, as Chris mentioned earlier, and as John mentioned, Democrats not as willing to come in and fund Charlie Crist and Val Demings, in part because of that concern, but it looks like tonight takes it a long way on that trajectory. It's hard to overstate the red wave that occurred in Florida today. This is very historic results in Florida tonight.
Chris Hand, what do you think are some of the components of making that historic landslide victory tonight for the governor?
Well, we've talked about the new Republican edge in voter registration, the substantial resource disparity, how much money Governor DeSantis and the other Republicans have. But to kind of build on what Rick said, I think we have to talk about some of the implications of this. Some of the results are still coming in, but it looks like Republicans may have supermajorities in both the Florida State Senate and the Florida State House of Representatives. That's huge. It essentially removes any role that the Democratic Party can have in influencing the results of the legislature in future years. And because of upcoming presidential politics, for other factors, Democrats have really got to do some soul searching. It is a big, big deal to have the third most populated state in the country, potentially taken off the board and assigned to the Republican column. It's going to be very challenging for Democrats to get to 270 electoral votes if they just completely remove Florida from any consideration. So I think what you will see going forward is some serious soul searching about how did we go from being a party that lost a governor's race by 34,000 votes to one that lost by 20%. That is a huge swing in 4 years.
Yeah, John.
Yeah, I remember having a conversation with David Seamus, who was President Obama's numbers person after I think it was Pluff rather, had left the office. And he was talking about how Florida was trending light blue at that point and how we thought it would go into being deeper blue. Totally different situation now. And I'm just not so sure, given the resources it would take in the next 2 years to turn it from where it is now back to more of a purple state. I just don't see that. I mean, the resources it would take, you have to have a definitive message to handle the diversity in South Florida. Right now, we don't have that message as Democrats. It just is not there. Trying not to be partisan, but it just isn't there. So to resource that, and then to make sure that that gets all over the state and reach, and also African-American votes that have been, I think, oftentimes taken for granted. What the Democratic Party is learning is that maybe they won't go Republican as much, but they will stay home. In this election, African-Americans, I believe across the state, the numbers will show that they stayed home.
All right. All right, we will keep looking at that. And I think part of those issues are we're going to say, hey, is Florida the bellwether? Is that what's happening nationally? We'll keep looking at that. But tonight, what happened in Florida is stunning.
Exactly.
Voter turnout here in Duval County fell short of expectation, coming in at about 50%.
News4Jax reporter Jim Pickett is live at the Duval County Supervisor of Elections Vote Center on the north side. Jim?
You know what's happening here is they're closing up shop. As you mentioned, a 50% turnout means the people back here are working a little less as they're bringing back the materials, bringing back the ballots, securing them in case of any problems. But we don't really have any close races locally, so they're not anticipating any recounts at all. Now, just a short time ago, I talked to Supervisor of Elections Mike Hogan, who eventually is going to be leaving this position after the next election in a few months. So here's what he told me about today.
This was a great day. If you saw the returns, how fast they were coming. In fact, several came before we actually punched out for the early voting and the mail ballots. So it was, great day all the way around.
Is there anything that has to happen now? Anything that's going to take place tomorrow? Or what's the next step?
Yeah, we have some more ballots to count tonight. We'll be doing those. We'll give the state a heads up on how many are left. And then we have provisionals, of course, and we're going to have to wait, until the 18th for the mail ballots from the military and overseas. So it's still a lot of work to be done.
So basically what Hogan is basically saying that they're done for tonight, but they have more things to count later on. For now, we're live at the Supervisor of Elections office, Jim Pickett, Channel 4, the local station.
As Jim notches another election to the 30 years of elections he has covered. When we come back, another update on Tropical Storm Nicole.
And later we check in with TK Waters and Lakeisha Burton's headquarters after Waters was declared Jacksonville's new sheriff tonight.
Join us in Random Jacks of Kindness, a year-long commitment to paying it forward with acts big and small. Sign the pledge on PositivelyJacks.com.
Help make your community a better place. Join the Positively Jacks movement. Sign the pledge today.
What's local news to you? It brings us together with stories of hope, revelation, and positive stories too. It's knowing the history of our communities and the struggles we've overcome. Stories that grabbed our hearts, that kept us safe. It's getting answers to what I care about most. Committed to giving you a voice. Only News 4 Jax makes choices that put us first. They are who they've always been. News 4 Jax on Channel 4.
A little bit more about the top.
We've never had a story like this.
They're on the fast track to the truth.
You're terrified about these results.
I've always felt in my heart that she wasn't his.
No more questions.
The dates just didn't add up.
There's no way this baby could be anybody's but yours.
No more denials.
You're sure that Willie's the father?
He the daddy, she know that.
No more excuses.
You are the father.
You are not the father. Watch Maury.
Weekdays at 4 on CW17.
News 4 Jax celebrates everyone who makes a positively Jax difference, like those at this school, where students get hands-on education to help them reach their full potential.
I think our secret sauce is that we really see the abilities in our students. We don't look at what they can't do, but we're constantly looking at what they can do and offering them opportunities. 8 acres of heaven right here.
Join the Pause Jax movement. Sign up and sign in to News 4 Jax Insider today.
Marine 4 on News 4 Jax, Channel 4, the local station. Go to news4jax.com/insider and become a VIP today.
We'll talk a little bit more about.
How was your day? Amazing. How was yours? Amazing.
Make your day with a double dose of 2.5 Men and Mom.
It's not funny. Maybe not funny.
Go through the next. All right, folks, here's what's happening again on the moment. We'll talk a little bit more about the tides and how high they're continuing to get. But this is what I think is going to be really key to all of us here as we go through the next 12 to 18 hours is how the development, see the eye-like formation, you see a little hole there? This is a satellite picture. It shows three-dimensionally how we're finding Nicole all stacked up. And when we start to see the thunderstorms fade, it's an indication either weakening's taking place or the storm's just holding its own. But when we start to see them redefine themselves right near the center of circulation, that's when we know that we're probably going to see some continuation of the development of not just the eye wall, but of a hurricane. And I think that takes place especially as we get here into the early morning hours here tomorrow. Scattered showers and thunder showers going on all the way down south. We're under a plethora of different watches and warnings. I think the big part here is that nor'easter winds will continue overnight tonight. They'll stay a little bit on the light side, but as you get up tomorrow and start driving around town, you're going to feel those winds gusting up to 50 miles an hour tomorrow. Flood tides are continuing to build. The models are still keeping the core of Nicole away from Jacksonville. Now, that's important. We're going to get one big round of pretty nasty weather, and that's going to take place Wednesday night, tomorrow night, through Thursday lunch hour. That seems to be likely. What we could have seen is the core come over us, and that would have taken place later in the day. That seems to be unlikely now. That core is heading to Georgia. We'll look at that in a moment. Locally, rain 3 to 4 inches, storm surge in the coastal waters. That's the beaches, St. John's River and the lake, up to 3 to 4 feet. And those winds will actually be bigger as we go through Thursday than they will be tomorrow. Remember, tomorrow, 45 to 50. Tomorrow night, 55. And then Thursday morning, we could see winds over 60 miles an hour. Note the temperatures. Note the winds. They're continuing to be blustery out there even at this hour. Gust at the airport in the last hour, 35 miles an hour. Again, going to work and school tomorrow, which is all still open, are going to be situated with those gusts of wind up to around 30, 40 miles an hour and make it a little bit challenging out there. There's the storm. Watch what happens to the purple area here really expand as we get right there near the coast. This is sometime Thursday morning, and that's when the big shield of heavy rains come rolling on through Jacksonville all the way through the lunch hour. Those will be the time periods that you're going to be hunkered down. We're talking staying indoors, keep the kids out of going outside. That's when we're going to see the worst of the weather here in Jacksonville as the storm stays somewhat to the west of us. I'm going to make tomorrow 4 in the Gaunt gauge, despite the fact that the rains come in later in the day. The planning forecast again showing a weather alert day for tomorrow for mainly the winds and tides continuing to get bigger and bigger, but it's Thursday high tides that we'll talk more about in the next big weather hit. I'm concerned that's when the flooding takes place. We'll be back with more on the election and, of course, on Nicole within a few moments.
In 2022, join us in Random Jacks of Kindness, a year-long commitment to paying it forward with acts big and small. Practice Random Jacks of Kindness. Sign the pledge on PositivelyJacks.com. When it comes to keeping you informed, the sky is the limit.
A live look from our tower cam.
News 4 Jax, empowering you with a county-by-county network of 15 aerial cameras, showing you this.
Traffic in both directions.
So you can avoid seeing this. Built for the elements. So you can see threats from miles away. A window to the world on all your screens. The News 4 Jax Skycam Network.
We've a story like this.
They're on the fast track to the truth.
You're terrified about these results.
I've always felt in my heart that she wasn't his.
No more questions.
The dates just didn't add up.
There's no way this baby could be anybody's but yours.
No more denials.
You're sure that Willie's the father?
He the daddy, he know that.
No more excuses.
You are the father.
You are not the father. Watch Maury.
Weekdays at 4 on CW17.
Exact Track 4D. Cutting-edge technology to keep you safe.
News 4 Jax celebrates everyone who makes a positively Jax difference, like those at this school, where students get hands-on education to help them reach their full potential.
I think our secret sauce is that we really see the abilities in our students. We don't look at what they can't do, but we're constantly looking at what they can do and offering them opportunities. 8 acres of heaven right here.
Join the Pause Jax movement. Sign up and sign in to News 4 Jax Insider today.
Marine 4 on News 4 Jax, Channel 4, the local station.
What's local news to you? It brings us together with stories of hope, revelation, and positive stories too. It's knowing the history of our communities and the struggles we've overcome. Stories that grabbed our hearts, that kept us safe. It's getting answers to what I care about most. Committed to giving you a voice. Only News 4 Jax makes choices that put us first. They are who they've always been. News 4 Jax on Channel 4, the local station.
Exact Track 4D, tracking and dissecting storms down to your street.
Hello! How was your day? Amazing! How was yours? Amazing!
Make your day with a double dose of 2.5 Men and Mom.
It's not funny, maybe not funny, ha-ha, but certainly funny.
2 hours of laughs every weeknight.
Good Lord, man, you're a genius.
I'm so happy for us!
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Jacksonville residents have elected a new sheriff.
Republican T.K. Waters was declared the winner just an hour after the polls closed. He got 55% of the vote. Democrat Lakeisha Burton got 45% of the vote. And Maxwell is covering the Lakeisha Burton campaign. But first, let's go to Ashley Harding, who is live with the T.K. Waters campaign. Ashley?
Hey, Tom and Mary. Yes, things have really quieted down right here, but this is quite a change from what we saw just a little while ago. There was so much excitement. You know, T.K. Waters said that he walked into tonight feeling really good that he would become the new sheriff, and he ended up taking 55% of the vote over his challenger, Lakeisha Burton. And he said his priority, first and foremost, is to reduce violent crime and make sure that everybody here in Jacksonville feels safe to live here. He also said it's just really good to come out on top and to truly win. This is what he told me in a one-on-one interview afterward.
It's exciting, very exciting. You know, you come into these things being a first-time candidate. You don't know really what to expect, but I had some serious hopes. We had a good consulting group when we had a very strong feeling about tonight, and we came into it with high expectations, and we met those expectations.
One of the things you campaigned on was more transparency with the JSO. Talk to us about your plan to accomplish that.
Well, first thing I want to sit with all y'all station managers, and we want to talk because we want to build a partnership. There's things that need to be done. Hold us accountable, yes, but tell good stories. Tell what the officers do every single day, hundreds and thousands of times a day. I think that's very important so people will know there's a lot more going on than just that. Share as much information as possible. Build our PIO unit up, make it larger so that we can share information quicker and get things out as quickly as possible. We're going to look at all the different things. I'll start top down and look at everything and see what we need to change and what we need to improve on.
And TK Waters, of course, thanked his family, his friends, his supporters, and those here in Jacksonville who did cast their ballots in his favor. And remember, this is technically not over. Waters will serve the remainder of Mike Williams' term, and then there will be another election next spring for that full 4-year term. Waters says he is already looking ahead to that. Reporting live, Ashley Harding, Channel 4, the local station.
Ashley, thanks. Democrat Lakeisha Burton says she called TK Waters to congratulate him on his win. News4JAX reporter Ann Maxwell was at her watch party tonight and is joining us live now.
Mary, the watch party ended early here tonight, and while this was certainly not the result Lakeisha Burton and her supporters wanted, she said she's still really proud of the campaign she ran, and she thanked her supporters for all the work they put in. She did not say if she's going to run again this spring for a full 4-year term. She says she just doesn't know yet. She hasn't thought about it yet. She did take some time at the podium here when she announced to her supporters that she had conceded to TK Waters. She hit back at the campaign he ran. She said it was based on fear and lies and misinformation. She accused the other side of taking the low road and spending more time attacking her character rather than laying out their plan for Jacksonville's future. But nonetheless, she said she called TK Waters to congratulate him and offer any services, any expertise to help him in his new role. Take a listen to what she said earlier.
As he moves into his new role, I know I not only encourage him to keep his commitment to change, but also I offer him my help to make that happen, because I am not going anywhere. Because I remain committed to you, the people. That's why I got in this race. To serve you in whatever capacity you will have me in.
Say she is still fired up. Again, no word for sure yet on whether she's going to run again in March, not that far away. She also told her supporters there's still a lot of work to be done in Jacksonville with violent crime, with division, and she also urged them to hold the new sheriff, TK Waters, accountable as he steps into that role. Live from the South Bank, Ann Maxwell, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Ann.
When we come back, we will check in with News4JAX reporter Vic Micolucci, who was in Atlanta tonight.
We'll get an update on the major races in Georgia.
Help make your community a better place. Join the Positively Jax movement. Sign the pledge today.
Hello! How was your day? Amazing! How was yours? Amazing!
Make your day with a double dose of 2.5 Men and Mom.
It's not funny, maybe not funny, ha-ha, but certainly funny. Hee-hee.
2 hours of laughs every weeknight.
Good Lord, man, you're a genius.
I'm so happy for us!
Shh, don't tell anybody.
I have to tell everybody.
Back-to-back episodes of 2.5 Men and Mom. Weeknights starting at 5 on CW17.
Join us in Random Jacks of Kindness, a year-long commitment to paying it forward with acts big and small. Sign the pledge on PositivelyJax.com.
Want to spread the word about your favorite local hangout? Or warn your neighbors about risky storm damage? Maybe you're looking for tonight's photo-worthy feast or need to track down important supplies. Do it all and more with Snapjacks. I can do it right now. Go to your News4JAX Insider account or join for free on News4JAX.com. Click the Snapjacks button, upload your photo, and tell your fellow insiders where you snapped it. Become a News4JAX Insider for free and start sharing photos on Snapjacks today.
We've never had a story like this.
They're on the fast track to the truth.
You're terrified about these results.
I've always felt in my heart that she wasn't his.
No more questions.
The dates just didn't add up.
There's no way this baby could be anybody's but yours.
No more denials.
You're sure that Willie's the father?
He the daddy, he know that.
No more excuses.
You are the father. You are not the father.
Watch Maury.
Weekdays at 4 on CW17.
It's free for my life.
had some amazing. Wow, that's a lot. Wow.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
Breaking news knows no bounds. Marine 4 gets you closer to stories that matter most, from severe storms on local shores to emergencies along the St. Johns. Marine 4 is there. Channel 4, the local station.
News for Jax celebrates everyone who makes a positively Jax difference, like those at this school, where students get hands-on education to help them reach their full potential.
I think our secret sauce is that we really see the abilities in our students. We don't look at what they can't do, but we're constantly looking at what they can do and offering them opportunities. 8 acres of heaven right here.
Join the Pause Jax.
Live from the local station, the 10 o'clock news starts now.
Another update on Tropical Storm Nicole, which could become a hurricane at any time now. This graphic shows the latest track, and we got the latest advisory on the storm at the top of the hour. Another live peak tonight out at Mayport. The winds, look at that, picking up tonight. Pretty strong gusts out there. The storm is expected to intensify tomorrow. And right now, Nicole is a tropical storm, but it could become a hurricane at any time.
Counties in our area are preparing for Nicole. Schools in St. Johns, Putnam, Flagler, and Alachua counties have announced they will be closed on Thursday. Duval County has not made a decision yet on classes on Thursday. All the schools in our area are already closed Friday because the holiday is Veterans Day. News for Jax reporters Renee Beninati and Eric Avanier are covering local preparations. We begin with John for the latest timeline on the worst weather here. John?
We're going to focus on two different issues. The first one's what's happening right now, that nor'easter, the winds that are gusty, the image that you saw over there along the St. Johns River over at Mayport, Old Glory just flapping in the wind. We've seen gusts today over 40, 45 miles an hour, not just along the coast, but even inland, like the airport, seeing some incredibly high winds. Those winds will subside a little bit overnight tonight, but driving around town tomorrow, the bridges should stay open. However, the gusts are going to be big, and it's going to be a challenge for anything that's pretty large in terms of traveling over the bridges as a wind begins to pick up on that, the vehicles as they pass over the bridge. That's the anticipation over the next 6 to 8 hours. Watch the red and orange begin to really expand as it reaches the coast. Nicole likely to be a hurricane by the time you wake up tomorrow morning. The next update, 4 a.m. Richard will have it for you if you're going to bed soon. Note the heavy rains here. This is 6 a.m. on Thursday morning. Tomorrow we stay generally dry for what it's worth, but it's a windy day. It's going to be challenging at times, but it is on Thursday morning as you wake up. We'll have bands of heavy rain coming on shore between 3, 4 in the morning, all the way through about 3, 4 in the afternoon. As you can see, as the storm rolls on shore, here comes a very intense core of heavy rain just before the noon hour. We see the actual core of the storm stay out to the west. And when we start tracking rainfall, it's interesting to note exactly how the rain kind of plays into the track of the storm. We are on the east side of this storm track, the north side. And as such, you can see this is where the wall and the heavy rains will take place. And potentially, Tom, something we haven't talked a lot about, potential here for tornadoes coming onshore as little vortices associated with the high winds that'll be impacting the coast, but also with the rains that'll fall throughout Thursday morning, especially 2 rounds prior to sunrise and then right around the lunch hour. But Tom, 3 to 5 inches of rain, and coming up in the big weather in about 10 minutes, we'll talk about flooding along the coast where tides right now, Tom, well over a foot above normal because of the nor'easter coming up.
John, thank you. News 4 Jax reporter Eric Avanier continues our Nicole coverage. He's in downtown St. Augustine where, Eric, waves are already lashing the bayfront.
Yeah, we're already starting to see it. In fact, let's bring the camera over here. I want to take a look at this. Just be careful here. We're seeing a lot of this, the heavy surf just hitting this break wall really bad. It's starting to get all area wet. You have to remember that the Matanzas River here is prone to flooding, especially during hurricanes and tropical storms. And when that happens, it floods so bad here in the downtown area here that this area literally becomes an extension of the river. And unfortunately, there are other low-lying areas throughout St. Johns County and Flagler County that suffer the same fate. We all remember these images of downtown St. Augustine underwater when the Matanzas River overflowed during Hurricane Ian last month. And so do folks working here at Harry's Seafood Bar and Grill, which is located just across the street from the river.
The hurricane that just passed, we had over 6 inches of water downstairs.
And it took the staff 3 days to clear the water out of the first floor dining area. But now, Tropical Storm Nicole, combined with the king tide, is threatening to flood this area again. And the folks at Harry's Seafood and Bar say they will be ready.
We have about 500 sandbags prepped up, and tomorrow we're going to come in around 7 a.m. and lay down plastic in the front door with a barricade that we built. Lay that down and then set the bags up.
All the furniture on the first floor will be moved to the upstairs dining area to prevent being damaged. Meanwhile, St. Johns County emergency management officials say voluntary evacuations for flood-prone areas like downtown St. Augustine and communities along the beach and intercoastal will go into effect at 7 a.m. Wednesday. Also, people are being asked not to drive through floodwaters, and if you must, especially in residential areas, it is advised to drive slowly to prevent waves of water from further entering people's homes. Further south into Flagler County, emergency management officials say conditions are expected to be worse because Nicole is on track to move closer to the area as a possible Category 1 hurricane. People living on the barrier islands from Flagler Beach to Marineland are being told to prepare to evacuate on Wednesday. This also includes people living in mobile homes and non-elevated homes in low-lying areas that are prone to flooding. Emergency management officials say that on Wednesday, the area is expected to experience higher than normal tides, rainfall between 3 and 6 inches, and strong sustained winds. The following day, the storm surge is expected to reach 3 to 5 feet above normal, with waves exceeding 15 feet. One resident we spoke with says that's still not enough for him to evacuate.
Not about this wind. This is only supposed to be a Category 1. No. Category 3, we'd leave, but Category 1, we're fine.
The Anchor Flagler Beach restaurant is right across the street from the entrance to the beach.
We might do some sandbags since we're right there, bring everything in from inside. Our awning got washed away last time, so we don't have to worry about that this time because it's already gone.
And that was during Ian?
Yes, yep, Yeah, so really we're just playing it by ear.
Hurricane Ian also caused a portion of the historic Flagler Pier to come apart and drift away. Nicole is expected to cause more of the pier to fall apart. Do you feel like this may definitely be the last that we may see of this pier?
Dun, 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 dun. Yes, I think so.
Now, public schools in both St. Johns County and Flagler County will open tomorrow, but they will close much earlier in the day. However, on Thursday, schools in both counties will be closed. Reporting live in St. Johns County, Eric Avignon, Channel 4, the local station.
Eric, thanks. News4Jax reporter Renee Benedati joins us live from Jacksonville Beach tonight, where lifeguards are warning people there not to go into the water due to the dangerous ocean conditions. Renee.
Mary, crews have been getting ready for this weather, which is already extremely windy out here tonight. Lifeguards have been taking nearly everything off of the beach, like this row of lifeguard stands, which you can see here tonight. Jacksonville Beach, a lot quieter than usual Tuesday ahead of Tropical Storm Nicole. Beachgoers staying out of the ocean, instead coming to check out the windy conditions. Tim Hudnall brought his two friends from Iowa in town for his wedding this weekend.
I actually was taking them to the beach for the first time. They've never been.
I mean, the waves are, pretty big today.
Yeah, they're solid. I mean, there's good current.
Crews preparing for one of the biggest threats, storm surge, by dumping sand to shore up the sand dunes. Many along the beach eroded from Hurricane Ian. Lifeguards also brought in beach stands and trash cans. We met Bob and Lisa O'Rourke visiting from near Orlando. They plan on riding out the storm at their hotel.
We're up high enough on the second floor, so we're just going to ride out and watch the storm and watch the waves.
All say they're hoping the impacts are minimal, especially Hudnall getting ready for his big day. How are you feeling about that?
Oh, I feel completely fine. I'm not worried about it at all. And, if it rains on the wedding day, that's great. It's supposed to be good luck or something like that. So I'm like, hey, whatever.
This weekend, Jacksonville Beach here is set to schedule a pro surfing competition with a ton of activities, including live concerts. As of right now, it appears that it's still a go. Coming up tonight at 11, we'll share some of the precautions they're also taking that we saw today ahead of the storm. Reporting live from Jacksonville Beach, Renee Beninati, Channel 4, the local station.
Thank you, Renee. And we'll continue coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole on News4JAX at 11.
The suspense continues in Georgia at this hour, where the governor's race between Brian Kemp and Stacey Abrams is still too close to call.
Yeah, right now, Kemp is in the lead with 54% to Stacey Abrams' 45%. The U.S. Senate race in Georgia, it could flip the balance of power in Washington. And look at it. It is neck and neck between incumbent Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Herschel Walker. It has been this way all night.
And keep in mind, if neither of those candidates gets 50%, there will be a runoff December 6th. Joining us now live from Atlanta is Vic Micolucci. Vic, you're at the Fulton County Election Center. The vote counting is not exactly going quickly, is it?
No, it is not. And especially with razor-thin margins like this, we are going to see them take their time. Poll workers say they're going to be here as long as they need to be, and we're seeing some activity coming through. It's picking up a little bit more, so there's about 250 precincts throughout Fulton County. That's where Atlanta is, and that's the seat for the state of Georgia. It's also got the most population in the entire Peach State, and we are seeing these hard drives come in with the votes. They're coming in with poll workers, and each poll worker has a police officer escorting them for safety, for security, so that everybody can have peace of mind. So obviously that takes time. This is a very large county here in Fulton County. You've got traffic, you've got those issues. But we have seen them come in to this room, and this is video from a little bit earlier. We're not able to show you a live feed, but they go in there, they put them in the computer, and the poll workers add that to the count of the votes already cast here in Fulton County. Then ultimately that's going to go to the Georgia Secretary of State's office. We also have spoken with a lot of people throughout the day, including those who are leading organizations, making sure that people get out and vote, no matter which issues or candidates they want to choose. Take a listen to why they said it's so important.
We've been working hard to educate community members and just really encourage people to get to the polls. So we turned it into a 501c3 nonprofit where we reach people where they are. We come to the communities, we're doing skating rinks, we're going to grocery stores, gas stations, anywhere and everywhere to mobilize voters.
It is really critical that we get people out to vote because we want to change the trajectory of the state. We believe that Georgia is a beautiful state. The Peach State should be a wonderful experience for all of us. And so that part of what we need is we need public policy that's going to center people and not profit.
And we have seen some record-setting voting for the midterm elections. Early voting, 2.5 million people cast their ballots either in person or mail-in. We're still waiting to see how many Georgians voted in the general election today. But behind me, poll workers in Fulton County are hard at work making sure that every vote is counted. And police, security, as well as poll watchers from the Republicans, the Democrats, and the moderates are all watching to make sure that everything is secure and fair. We're live tonight in Fulton County. I'm Vic Micolucci, Channel 4, the local station, and we'll be right back after this.
Exact Track 4D, cutting-edge technology to keep you safe.
Want to spread the word about your favorite local hangout? Or warn your neighbors about risky storm damage? Maybe you're looking for tonight's photo-worthy feast or need to track down important supplies. Do it all and more with Snapjacks. I can do it right now. Go to your News4JAX Insider account or join for free on News4JAX.com. Click the Snapjacks button, upload your photo, and tell your fellow insiders where you snapped it. Become a News4JAX Insider for free and start sharing photos on Snapjacks today.
Go to news4jax.com/insider and become a VIP today.
Help make your community a better place. Join the Positively Jax movement. Sign the pledge today.
It's free for life.
That's amazing. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, it is kind of cool.
News4JAX celebrates everyone who makes a positively Jax difference, like those at this school, where students get hands-on education to help them reach their full potential.
I think our secret sauce is that we really see the abilities in our students. We don't look at what they can't do, but we're constantly looking at what they can do and offering them opportunities. 8 acres of heaven right here.
Join the Pause Jax movement. Sign up and sign in to News4JAX Insider today.
How was your day? Amazing! How was yours? Amazing!
Make your day with a double dose of 2.5 Men and Mom.
It's not funny, maybe not funny, ha-ha, but certainly funny.
2 hours of laughs every weeknight.
Good Lord, man, you're a genius.
I'm so happy for us!
Shh, don't tell anybody. I have to tell everybody.
Back-to-back episodes of 2.5 Men and Mom. Weeknights starting at 5 on CW17.
What's local news to you? It brings us together with stories of hope, revelation, and positive stories too. It's knowing the history of our communities and the struggles we've overcome. Stories that grabbed our hearts, that kept us safe. It's getting and
The nation is waiting to find out if the balance of power will shift as Republicans try to win back the majority in both houses of Congress, now controlled by Democrats.
Stacey Spanos is joining us now with a closer look at the key Senate races we're watching in addition to Florida and Georgia. Stacey.
And Tom and Mary, we have been anxiously awaiting all night to get these results. We are starting to see some results come out west. We will get to those at the moment. First, let's take a look at the current balance of power. Democrats currently hold 40 seats and Republicans hold 41 seats. Remember, those 2 yellow circles right there represent no party affiliation or independent senators, and they typically vote with Democrats. That's why we have them stationed right here with the blue. Let's start in Colorado to see where Democrat Michael Bennet is. He has won re-election over Republican challenger Joe O'Dea. The vote counting is still early right now, but the race has been called for Bennet. As you can see, he's got the lead, 56% to 42%. Let's take you out west to Arizona. It just closed within the last hour at 10 p.m. So far, Democratic incumbent Mark Kelly is holding a lead over his Republican challenger, Blake Masters. Not a lot of precincts reporting at this point, but Mark Kelly holding a sizable lead, 58% to 40%. We'll see if he can retain that seat. Coming back to some close races on the East Coast in Ohio, that is an open seat with Democrat Tim Ryan facing Republican J.D. Vance. And right now, J.D. Vance has the lead there, 54% to 46%. Let's take you to North Carolina. Republican Senator Richard Burr is retiring. The race for the open seat features Democrat Sherry Beasley and Republican Ted Budd. And you can see Budd has 51% of the votes here, with about 93% of the precincts reporting. We'll see if he can pull out a victory there in the state of North Carolina. Now, this is a race that seems like everybody across the nation has been watching. The race against John Fetterman versus Mehmet Oz. This is in Pennsylvania. And if this race is close, it could take a few days to know the winner. Under Pennsylvania law, elections officials do not start processing vote-by-mail ballots until Election Day. So they started counting them this morning. So the process could take some time. We've got about 62% of the precincts reporting. And right now, John Fetterman, the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, has 50% of the votes to Mehmet Oz's 48% of the votes. Remember, coming into tonight, it was a 50-50 split in the Senate. The Democrats had control because the Vice President, Kamala Harris, would break a tie vote. Republicans just need an overall pickup of one Democratic seat to take control of the Senate. Back to you, Tom and Mary.
Stacey, thanks. Still ahead, we're going to take a look at what voters were drawn to when they went to the polls.
The issues they had on their minds, that and more as our election night coverage continues.
Go to news4jax.com/insider and become a VIP today.
Help make your community a better place. Join the Positively Jax movement. Sign the pledge today.
Marine 4 on News 4 Jax, Channel 4, the local station.
News 4 Jax celebrates everyone who makes a positively Jax difference, like those at this school, where students get hands-on education to help them reach their full potential.
I think our secret sauce is that we really see the abilities in our students. We don't look at what they can't do, but we're constantly looking at what they can do and offering them opportunities. 8 acres of heaven right here.
Join the Pause Jax movement. Sign up and sign in to News 4 Jax Insider today.
We've never had a story like this.
They're on the fast track to the truth.
You're terrified about these results.
I've always felt in my heart that she wasn't his.
No more questions.
The dates just didn't add up.
There's no way this baby could be anybody's but yours.
No more denials.
You're sure that Willie's the father?
He the daddy, he know that.
No more excuses.
You are the father. You are not the father.
Watch Maury.
Weekdays at 4 on CW17.
Join us in Random Jacks of Kindness, a year-long commitment to paying it forward with acts big and small. Sign the pledge on PositivelyJax.com. Exact Track 4D, cutting-edge technology to keep you safe.
What's local news to you? It brings us together with stories of hope, revelation, and positive stories too. It's knowing the history of our communities and the struggles we've overcome. Stories that grabbed our hearts, that kept us safe. It's getting answers to what I care about most. Committed to giving you a voice. Only News 4 Jax makes choices that put us first. They are who they've always been. News 4 Jax on Channel 4, the local station.
When it comes to keeping you informed, the sky is the limit.
A live look from our tower cam.
News 4 Jax, empowering you with a county-by-county network of 15 aerial cameras, showing you this.
Traffic in both directions.
So you can avoid seeing this. Built for the elements. So you can see threats from miles away. A window to the world on all your screens. The News 4 Jax Skycam Network. Breaking news knows no bounds. Marine 4 gets you closer to stories that matter most, from severe storms on local shores to emergencies along the St. John's. Marine 4 is there. Channel 4, the local station.
Want to spread the word about your favorite local hang?
Now let's find out more about the issues voters had on their minds as they went to the polls using AP Votecast.
Tarek and Travis have been combing through the data. They are joining us now from our AP Votecast Center with the trends that they're seeing from independent voters here in Florida. Tarek, Travis?
Well, you know, the no party affiliation voters or the independent voters, they're kind of like the wild card in this election. We're digging deeper into the data to see which way they leaned when they voted. There are now about 4 million no party affiliation or NPA voters in Florida. It's about 30% of the state's registered voters. And Travis, you've been looking at the recent trends regarding these voters.
Yeah, that's right. There's actually been a steady increase in voters not claiming any political party in recent years, with nearly 4% jump since last year. If you look back at the last midterm in 2018, it's been about a 10% increase. So meanwhile, registered Republicans have increased about 2.6%, and then the number of registered Democrats has actually gone down 2.2% just in the last year. So using that Votecast data, we can get an idea of which candidates they voted for in this midterm election, and out of more than 3,000 voters interviewed by AP.
Two biggest races in Florida. So we're going to go to the wall and check those races out. You know, in the governor's race, when it comes to the voters who identify themselves as independent or NPAs, 42% of these voters sided with Charlie Crist. 41% sided with Ron DeSantis. So as we reported earlier tonight, of course, DeSantis won that race handily by the largest margin in Florida history in 40 years. Now let's take a look at the race for Senate, won by Marco Rubio. 50% of the voters who leaned independent voted for Val Demings, while 32% voted for Marco Rubio. It's also notable that the number of no party affiliation and independent voters has grown every year since the year 2017. Mary, Tom?
Thank you, Tarek.
And stay with us. We'll have more reaction and updates on the midterm elections.
The 11 o'clock news starts right after this break.
Make your day with a double dose of 2.5 Men and Mom.
It's not funny. Maybe not funny, ha-ha, but certainly funny.
2 hours of laughs every weeknight.
Good Lord, man, you're a genius.